By mid-1944, the United States was winning the war in the Pacific, but victory did not feel close. Every mile westward cost blood. Every island revealed a more determined enemy. Yet American planners believed they had begun to understand Japan's limits. Peleliu would prove. How wrong they were. The island lay in the Palau chain, a small, dry strip of coral and limestone surrounded by shallow reefs on maps. It looked insignificant, but in the larger strategy of the Pacific War, Peleliu's airfield was considered a potential threat to General Douglas MacArthur as planned. Return to the Philippines. That belief sealed its fate. Weeks before the invasion, American naval and air forces pounded Peleliu relentlessly. Battleships fired thousands of shells. Bombers dropped tons of explosives from the air. The island appeared pulverized. Intelligence officers concluded that little could have survived. But the Japanese had not prepared Peleliu to be bombed. They had prepared it to endure. Colonel Kunio Nakagawa, commander of the Japanese garrison, rejected the suicidal tactics that had failed on earlier islands. No banzai charges, no beach defense, no dramatic last stand at the shoreline. Instead, he transformed Peleliu into a subterranean fortress. Hundreds of caves were carved deep into the limestone ridges. Tunnels connected firing positions. Steel doors protected entrances. Artillery was hidden inside hills. Each position was designed to fire, withdraw, and reappear elsewhere. The island was no longer a battlefield. It was a machine, and it was waiting. The landing on September 15, 1944. The 1st Marine Division approached Peleliu's beaches. The sun was already brutal. The heat radiated upward from the coral sand. Men carried full combat loads. Water already warm in their canteens as landing craft lowered their ramps. Marines stepped into shallow water and into silence. No resistance, no gunfire, no explosions. For a moment, it seemed the bombardment had worked. Then the island spoke. Artillery erupted from hidden positions. Mortars fell with terrifying precision. Machine guns opened from bunkers no one had seen. Amphibious vehicles burned. Men were cut down before reaching cover. Entire units became tangled masses of wounded, dead, and pinned survivors still. They moved forward because staying still meant dying, by sheer force of will. The Marines pushed inland. The airfield was taken within days, and commanders believed the worst was over. They were wrong. Bloody Nose Ridge beyond the airfield rose a jagged limestone formation, sharp ridges, deep ravines. Narrow defiles. The Japanese called it Amabrogu Ridge. The Marines would call it Bloody Nose Ridge. This was the heart of Nakagawa's defense. Every slope was covered by overlapping fire. Every cave concealed a weapon. Marines climbed toward enemy positions they could not see, only to be hit from angles that made no sense. Flamethrowers were brought up. Fire poured into cave mouths. Oxygen vanished, and hours later, gunfire resumed from another opening. Grenades were thrown until hands bled. Tanks fired point blank into rock. Engineers used explosives to collapse entrances, only to discover new exits had been cut behind them. The Japanese did not retreat. They did not surrender. They waited. At night, the enemy moved silently. Japanese soldiers slipped through American lines, crawling over bodies, listening for breathing. Foxholes exploded with grenades. Throats were cut. Medics were targeted. Morning revealed corpses where no battle had been heard. Heat, thirst, and collapse. The temperature often exceeded 115 for a 6C. Men collapsed without wounds. Heat stroke killed silently. Water was rationed. Wounded Marines begged for a sip. Some drank from radiator hoses. Others drank from puddles stained with blood. Evacuation was slow. Corpsmen worked until exhaustion were death. Many were shot while treating the wounded. By the second week, the 1st Marine Division was breaking. Companies were reduced to dozens of men. Officers led assaults with pistols because rifles were gone. Veterans of Guadalcanal, men who thought they had seen everything, said Peleliu was worse. There was no front line, no safe rear, only pressure, the reluctant relief eventually. Army units were brought in to relieve the Marines, not because Peleliu was secure, but because the Marines were spent beyond recovery. The fighting did not stop. The army continued the slow, methodical destruction of the ridge system. Caves were sealed, flamethrowers burned until fuel ran. Out, artillery blasted the hills apart inch by inch. Inside the caves, Japanese soldiers starved, bled, and waited. Some wrote farewell letters, others waited in darkness for the next sound of boots. Colonel Nakagawa, seeing defeat inevitable, ordered his remaining men to fight to the last position. When the end came, he committed suicide. The battle officially ended in November 1944. Aftermath more than 6,500. American casualties. Over 10,000 Japanese dead. Fewer than 200 prisoners, an island whose strategic value would later be questioned. But Peleliu mattered. It showed the future. It showed what awaited on Iwo Jima. It showed what awaited on Okinawa. It showed what an invasion of Japan itself would mean. Peleliu was not remembered for a victory. It was remembered for endurance, for suffering. For the moment America realized the war would not end quickly or cheaply. Many survivors never spoke of it again. They didn't need to. Peleliu had already taken enough.